Kara stood quietly in the corner of the crowded starship cafeteria. The voices of her crew members echoed around her, but they felt distant, as if she stood behind an invisible wall. Everyone around her belonged to various alien races, each with unique and striking features. Their bodies shimmered, gleamed, and sparkled in ways Kara could never match. To them, she was plain, unremarkable ugly. She watched silently as the aliens around her joked and laughed, sharing stories of their planets, their adventures, and their families. Kara longed to join in, to feel part of their camaraderie, but every attempt had ended in awkwardness or subtle exclusion. Each time, their eyes seemed to scan her ordinary human form, soft skin, plain brown hair, dull eyes, and then dismiss her without interest. It wasn't that they were deliberately cruel. They simply did not understand her or what beauty meant among humans. To the delicate, graceful Quarians, her strong limbs seemed bulky. To the tall, glowing Varans, her pale skin appeared sickly. Even the friendly and gentle Vexen, with their shimmering feathers, found her hair strange and lifeless. Kara sighed, pushing away the food she had barely touched. She missed Earth, her home planet, where she was normal, even considered pretty. She had chosen this mission aboard the starship, Aurora, to explore new worlds, to learn about alien species, and to make exciting discoveries. She never imagined feeling so alone. After eating, she returned to her quarters, a small room barely large enough to hold her bed, a desk, and a few personal items. She sat down heavily, staring at the wall. Photographs of her family back on Earth smiled warmly from their frames, making her feel even more isolated. She missed them terribly, but didn't want them to know her struggles. They believed she was brave, an adventurer, someone breaking barriers in human-alien relationships. She couldn't bear to disappoint them. A soft chime sounded, alerting Kara that her next shift was about to begin. She stood reluctantly, adjusting her uniform carefully, though she doubted anyone noticed or cared about her appearance. Stepping out into the brightly lit corridors, she walked swiftly toward the control room. The halls were busy, filled with her crewmates hurrying about their tasks. Kara kept her head down, avoiding eye contact, knowing that meeting their gaze would only confirm their opinions about her. She heard whispers, soft murmurs she wasn't supposed to understand, but she had learned enough alien phrases to recognize their meaning. Words like strange, unappealing, and, of course, ugly reached her ears repeatedly. Arriving at the control room, Kara immediately moved to her station. Her duties involved monitoring star charts and helping to plot the Aurora's course through unexplored regions of space. It was work she loved, providing brief moments where she felt useful and competent, but even here, she remained isolated. The aliens chatted among themselves, sharing jokes and quick exchanges in their own languages. Occasionally, one would glance her way, only to turn quickly back, reminded of her differences. Today felt especially difficult. As the hours passed slowly, Kara struggled to maintain her composure. She focused intently on her work, trying to drown out the loneliness she felt deep inside. Then, suddenly, a new presence appeared in the control room. Kara glanced up and saw another human walking toward her station. Her heart skipped slightly. She knew new crew members had arrived, but she hadn't met any of them yet. The newcomer smiled warmly, his friendly expression catching her by surprise. "Hi," he said, his voice kind and calm. "I'm Sam. Just transferred from the research station on Mars. Mind if I join you here?" Kara hesitated briefly, uncertain how to respond. No one ever chose to sit near her by choice. "Sure," she finally said quietly, feeling shy but grateful. Sam took the seat next to her, quickly scanning the controls with practiced eyes. "So," he began softly, sensing her discomfort, "how long have you been aboard the Aurora?" "About 6 months," Kara replied, keeping her voice steady. "It's a good ship. Great opportunities here." Sam nodded thoughtfully, studying her carefully. "It seems a bit challenging, though. Being the only human until now, I mean." Kara felt her cheeks flush slightly, surprised by his insight. She met his eyes briefly, seeing genuine kindness in them. "Yes," she admitted slowly. "It's been harder than I expected." "Well," Sam said gently, "maybe it'll get a bit easier now." Kara smiled faintly, her first genuine smile in weeks. Something about his kindness lifted the burden of her loneliness, just a little. As they worked side by side, she allowed herself a quiet hope that perhaps, with another human aboard, life on the Aurora might start to change. The next few days on the Aurora felt different for Kara. Sam's arrival had changed something. For the first time in many weeks, she looked forward to going to her station. She still felt unsure and quiet, but now there was someone who noticed her, someone who didn't look at her with confusion or judgment. Sam made it easy to talk. He never pushed her to open up. He would just share simple stories about Mars, about his old crew, and even about funny mistakes he made during training. Kara found herself laughing more, even if just a little. When she spoke, Sam listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't look away. He seemed to really care about her answers. One morning, they were both assigned to a survey mission. A planet nearby showed signs of strange energy patterns. The captain asked them to join a small team to check it out. Sam looked at Kara and gave her a hopeful smile. "Ready for an adventure?" he asked. Kara nodded. "I think so." They boarded the small shuttle with two alien crew members, a tall Veyron named Tell and a quiet Quarian named Vanna. The trip to the planet was short. From the shuttle window, Kara saw rolling hills of dark green grass and sky that shimmered purple. The beauty of the planet took her breath away. When they landed, Tell led the group with his scanner. Vanna followed, checking for strange plants or hazards. Kara and Sam walked behind them, their own gear in hand. The air was fresh and cool. The silence felt peaceful. As they moved through a narrow valley, Kara noticed how close Sam walked beside her. He seemed to sense when she felt nervous, and always stayed nearby. At one point, her foot slipped on a loose rock, and he caught her arm quickly. "Careful," he said with a soft smile. "Thanks," she said, brushing off her uniform. They kept walking until they reached a group of old stone structures. The alien readings had come from this area. Kara moved forward to scan the carvings on the walls, while Sam studied the broken floor. As they worked, they started talking again. Sam told her about his little sister back on Earth, how she loved drawing stars and wanted to join space travel one day. Kara shared a memory about her childhood pet, a small dog that always barked at the mail drone. Suddenly, Sam looked at her with a thoughtful expression. "You know," he said gently, "I don't get what the others say. I think you're beautiful." Kara froze. For a moment, she didn't breathe. Her scanner slowly lowered in her hands. The words hit her like a wave. She stared at him, unsure what to say. No one had ever called her that on this ship. Not once. Not even close. Sam seemed to realize she was shocked. "I didn't mean to upset you," he added quickly. "I just wanted to say it." "You should know." Kara looked away, her cheeks burning. Her heart raced, and her mind felt full of questions. Why did he say that? Did he really mean it? Could it be true? She nodded slowly. "Thank you," she whispered. The others called her over, breaking the moment. Kara turned and joined the rest of the team, but her thoughts stayed with Sam's words. She felt his eyes on her once or twice, but he didn't say anything else. Rest of the mission went smoothly. They recorded the energy signals, took samples, and marked the area for future study. On the flight back to the Aurora, Kara sat by the window. Sam sat beside her, silent but calm. The stars outside seemed brighter than before. Back on the ship, things began to shift. Kara still kept to herself most of the time, but now she had someone to eat with. She had someone to talk to during breaks. And little by little, she began to feel less alone. She noticed the change in herself. She stood a little taller. Her voice was a bit stronger. She smiled more often. The other crew members started looking at her differently. Not all of them, But some, they saw her working hard, saw her solving problems, and began to respect her more. But the memory of Sam's words stayed close to her heart, not just because of what he said, but how he said it, with kindness, with honesty. Late one evening, after a long shift, Kara stood in the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly in front of her. She heard the door open and close. Sam walked in and stood beside her. "You okay?" he asked Dot. She nodded. "Just thinking." "About what?" She turned to look at him. Her voice was quiet but steady. "About how one sentence can change someone's whole world." He smiled. "Good change, I hope." Kara smiled back. "The best kind." They stood there in silence, watching the stars. For the first time since joining the Aurora, Kara felt seen. Not for what others thought she lacked, but for who she really was. Kara woke up the next day with a strange feeling in her chest. It was not fear. It was not sadness. It was something new, something warm. Sam's words kept repeating in her head. He had called her beautiful. No one else had ever said that on this ship. For the first time, she believed it might be true. When she walked into the control room that morning, she felt different. Her steps were steadier. Her shoulders were straighter. Some of the crew looked at her as she entered. A few nodded. One or two even gave her small smiles. It wasn't much, but it was something. Sam was already at his station. He looked up and smiled when he saw her. She smiled back. They didn't need to say anything. The look between them said enough. That day, they worked together on navigation. They had to plot a new course around a star cluster filled with magnetic storms. It was tricky, but they made a good team. Kara found herself speaking up more, suggesting paths, checking data, solving problems. The other crew members started to notice. Later, during a short break, one of the Varens, a tall blue-skinned officer named Joro, walked over. "You are very good at what you do," he said in his soft voice. Kara blinked. She had never heard a compliment from Joro before. "Thank you," she said, surprised but pleased. After work, she and Sam went to the observation deck again. It was becoming their place. The stars always seemed brighter there. "You were amazing today," Sam said. "You really took charge." "I was just doing my job," Kara said with a small smile. "No," Sam said, shaking his head. "You were leading." They notice. I notice. She looked at him, unsure what to say. No one had ever told her she was a leader before. It felt good. Over the next few days, things continued to change. Kara started speaking more during meetings. She shared her ideas and asked questions. People began to listen. They saw she was smart and calm, and she had good ideas. Slowly, the crew started to treat her with more respect. Some of the aliens still found her look strange, but they stopped calling her ugly. They began to see her as strong, clever, and kind, and that was more important. Sam stayed by her side. He was always there with a smile, a joke, or a helpful word. Kara looked forward to every moment they shared. Sometimes they talked about Earth. Other times, they talked about the stars. They never ran out of things to say. One evening, the ship received a strange signal from a nearby moon. The signal was old but still active. The captain sent a small team to investigate. Kara and Sam were chosen again, along with Joro and Vanna. When they landed on the moon, they found an ancient research station. The doors were half buried in dust, and the lights flickered weakly. Inside, the air was cold and still. They explored the dark halls carefully. Kara led the way with her scanner. Sam stayed close behind her. Joro and Vanna followed, checking for danger. They found old machines and broken screens. But in one room, they found something different, a locked chamber with a glowing console. Kara studied it closely. "It's a message system," she said. "Very old, but it's still working." She pressed a few buttons. A small light appeared, and then a hologram came to life. It was a human woman speaking in an old Earth language. To any who find this, the woman said, we were scientists studying alien life. We believed in peace and learning. If you are hearing this, our work lives on. Please remember us. The hologram ended. Silence filled the room. Kara felt a lump in her throat. These people had come so far and had been forgotten. But now, someone had heard their message. We'll make sure this is saved, Sam said softly. Their story matters. They downloaded the data and left the moon. Back on the ship, the crew listened to the recording. Many were quiet afterward. Even those who had never paid attention to humans before seemed thoughtful. That night, Kara stood, alone in the observation deck. She looked out at the stars, thinking about the woman in the message. That woman had believed in peace, in learning, in sharing knowledge. Sam joined her a few minutes later. He didn't say anything at first. He just stood beside her. You remind me of her, he said finally. Me? Kara asked, surprised. Yes, he said. You came out here to explore, to connect with others. You stayed strong even when things were hard. And now you're helping people see things differently. Kara felt tears in her eyes, not from sadness but from hope. I'm glad I met you, she said. Me too, Sam replied. Together they watched the stars in silence, feeling less alone than ever. Before, Kara's days on the Aurora began to feel brighter. She walked through the halls with her head held high. The strange looks from other crew members were less frequent now. Some of them even nodded in respect. Others asked for her help or listened. Carefully when she spoke. Sam continued to be her closest friend. He made her laugh when things got hard. He supported her in meetings and always spoke up when someone interrupted her. The two of them worked together like a perfect team. One morning, the captain called for a special meeting. The crew gathered in the main briefing room. The captain stood in front of a large screen, his face serious. There is a situation on Planet Zeros, he began. A colony of scientists sent a distress signal. We believe they are in danger. Communication has been lost. We need a team to investigate and provide help. Kara's name was among those chosen for the mission. Sam's name was there too. They were joined by two others, Joro, the tall Varen, and Lyra, a brave and curious alien from the water world CERL. As the shuttle flew toward Zeros, Kara felt nervous. This mission was different. It wasn't about studying ruins or signals. It was about helping people in danger. They landed near the colony base. The sky above was dark with thick gray clouds. The ground was covered in sharp rocks and black sand. The wind howled around them as they stepped out of the shuttle. The base looked damaged. One of the towers had fallen, and the outer wall was cracked. There were no signs of movement. Kara scanned for life signals. I see weak signals inside, she said. Someone is still alive. They moved carefully into the base. Inside, the lights flickered. Broken equipment and scattered supplies covered the floors. They heard a soft noise, a cough. Then another dot in one of the main rooms. They found the survivors. There were 7 of them, tired, cold, and injured. They had been trapped after a power failure and an attack by local creatures. Sam quickly helped one of the wounded sit up. Kara used her first aid kit to clean a cut on a young woman's arm. Joro and Lyra worked on fixing the power system to make the room safe again. You're safe now, Kara told one of the scientists. We'll get you out of here. The survivors looked at her with gratitude. One of them, an older man, touched her hand gently. We thought no one would come. He said, We always come, Sam said with a calm voice, while they helped the survivors. A warning beeped on Kara's scanner. More creatures were approaching. These ones were large and dangerous. The team had to act fast. We need to move. Now, Sam said. Joro and Lyra led the group, while Kara and Sam stayed behind to make sure everyone got out safely. As they moved through the halls, a loud growl echoed behind them. A huge beast appeared at the end of the corridor. It had dark skin, glowing red eyes, and sharp claws. It ran straight toward them. Sam raised his weapon. Keep going. I'll hold it off. No, Kara said. We do this together. She stood beside him. They aimed their weapons and fired at the beast. It roared and slowed down, but it kept coming. Just as it reached them, Joro returned and fired a strong energy blast. The beast dropped to the ground. Are you two all right? Joro asked. We're okay, Kara said, breathing hard. They all made it back to the shuttle with the survivors. The flight back was quiet. Everyone was tired, but safe. Back on the Aurora, the crew welcomed the survivors and treated their wounds. The captain praised the mission team for their bravery. Kara, he said, your actions today saved lives. You showed true courage. I'm proud of you. Kara felt warmth spread through her chest. She had never imagined hearing such words from the captain. She looked at Sam, who smiled at her proudly. Later that night, Kara sat alone in her room. She looked at herself in the small mirror on her desk. She no longer saw someone weak or plain. She saw someone strong. Someone who had faced danger and didn't run. Someone who helped others and made a difference. There was a knock at her door. She opened it to find Sam holding 2 mugs of warm tea. Thought you could use this, he said. Thanks, she said. Letting him in, they sat together, sipping tea in comfortable silence. You were amazing today, Sam said. So were you, Kara replied. They looked at each other for a long moment. No words were needed. In that quiet space, filled with trust and understanding, Kara knew something had changed. She was no longer just surviving on the Aurora. She was living. She was growing. And she was no longer alone. The days after the rescue mission passed quickly. Kara's name was now known across the ship. People she had never spoken to before started greeting her in the halls. Some even asked her for advice or invited her to join them during meals. It felt strange at first, but also good. She didn't feel invisible anymore. The captain invited her to take part in more meetings. He asked for her opinion often. Kara was careful with her words, but she spoke clearly and with confidence. Her ideas were sharp and useful. Others listened and nodded. Some even took notes. Sam stayed by her side, but not like a shadow. He let her lead when needed, and she let him do the same. They worked like they had known each other for years, not just a few weeks. One afternoon, the Aurora received a message from a nearby diplomatic station. The leaders of several alien species wanted to hold a peace meeting. There had been small arguments and misunderstandings between ships in this part of space. They needed help to bring calm. The captain chose a small team to attend. Kara was one of them. Sam was chosen too. Along with them were Lyra and 2 senior officers. The team traveled to the station in a special transport ship. The station was large and beautiful, with tall windows and glowing walls. Alien flags and symbols filled the halls. The team was welcomed by a group of aliens from different species. Some were tall and bright. Others were small and quick. There were even some Kara had never seen before. During the first meeting, Kara noticed the tension in the room. Some species sat far from others. Some spoke in cold, short voices. When the captain of the station asked for ideas to build trust, the room went silent. Then Kara raised her hand. She stood slowly and looked around. The room. I understand what it feels like to be seen as strange, she said. When I first came aboard the Aurora, I was the only human. I heard whispers. I saw the looks. I felt alone. Several aliens turned to her, listening. But things changed when someone spoke to me kindly, when one person said I was welcome. That's all it took to begin a new path. A single moment of respect. We don't have to solve everything today, but we can start with that, with one kind word, one moment of respect. The room was quiet for a moment. Then a thin, green-skinned diplomat spoke. I once judged your kind by old stories, he said. But now I see you differently. Your words carry truth. Others nodded. A slow conversation began. It was the start of something better. Later, in their shared quarters, Sam looked at Kara with A proud smile. "You just changed the course of a whole peace meeting," he said. Kara shrugged, blushing slightly. "I only spoke the truth." "Sometimes truth is the strongest thing," he replied. They stayed on the station for 3 more days, helping with talks and sharing ideas. Kara found herself sitting beside leaders and diplomats. She listened more than she spoke, but when she did speak, others listened closely. During a small break, one of the station workers came up to her. "You don't look like what I thought a hero would look like," the young alien said. Kara smiled gently. "I didn't think I looked like one either, but I think anyone can be a hero. It just takes one brave step." When their work at the station was done, the team returned to the Aurora. The mood on the ship was cheerful. News of the successful peace meeting had reached the crew. Many came to thank Kara and the others for their hard work. Back at her station, Kara continued her duties. She still studied maps and signals. She still worked quietly most of the time. But now, people came to her for help. They listened when she spoke. She had become a part of the ship, not just someone passing through. That evening, Sam found her on the observation deck again. The stars were clear and shining. "You've come a long way," he said. "We both have," she replied. "Do you still feel like the outsider?" he asked. Kara shook her head. "No, not anymore. I feel like I belong now, like I matter." Sam looked at her for a long moment. "You always mattered, Kara. You just needed someone to remind you." She smiled. "I'm glad it was you." They stood together, watching the stars. The quiet between them was full of trust, friendship, and something gentle and warm. Kara no longer feared the whispers or the looks. She knew who she was. And she knew that words, even simple ones, could change everything. A week after the rescue mission, the Aurora received a call from the Galactic Academy. They invited the ship to present at a major science and diplomacy event. The captain asked Kara to be one of the speakers. She was surprised at first, but said yes. It was time to share her story. Sam helped her prepare. They sat in the library, going over notes and practicing speeches. Kara felt nervous, but Sam always found a way to calm her. "Just speak from your heart," he told her. "That's what makes people listen." When the day came, the Aurora docked at the Academy station. It was a huge place filled with people and aliens from all over the galaxy. Banners waved in many languages. Scientists, leaders, and students gathered in the halls. Kara walked onto the stage in the large meeting hall. Bright lights shone down on her. She looked at the crowd and took a deep breath. "When I first joined this ship," she began, "I felt alone. I was the only human. I was seen as different, even strange. People whispered. They turned away. I began to believe I didn't belong." The room was quiet. Everyone listened closely. But one day someone told me I was beautiful. Just one person, one sentence, and it changed everything. Not just how I saw myself, but how I saw others. She paused, then continued. "I learned that sometimes a kind word can open doors. It can help people see past fear and judgment. It can create trust. It can build peace." Kara ended her speech with a calm voice. "We are all different. That is true. But we all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. Let's start by seeing each other, truly seeing." The crowd clapped. Some even stood. Kara smiled and stepped down, her heart full. After the speech, people came up to talk to her. Some asked questions. Others just wanted to thank her. An alien professor with bright silver skin said, "Your words touched many here today. Thank you." Back on the Aurora, things continued to grow and change. Kara's confidence was strong now. She started training new crew members. She gave advice to others who felt alone. She became a quiet guide for those who struggled. Just like she had. Sam stayed close. Their bond had deepened. They were more than friends now. They shared meals, thoughts, and quiet moments. They didn't talk about labels. They just trusted each other. They cared deeply. One evening, as they sat on the observation deck, Sam looked at her and smiled. "You know," he said, "that day on the planet, when I called you beautiful, I meant every word. But now I see even more. You're strong, smart, and kind. You lead with your heart. That's the kind of beauty that never fades." Kara felt her heart fill with warmth. She looked into his eyes. "Thank you, Sam. I used to doubt everything about myself. But now I feel whole. And a big part of that is because you saw me when no one else did." They didn't need to say more. The stars above them said the rest. Later that week, the Aurora was sent to explore a new region of space. Unknown planets, strange signals, and possible new friends or dangers waited for them. The crew prepared carefully. Kara was assigned to lead a small exploration team. Before the mission, the captain called her in. "You've grown into a strong leader, Kara. I'm proud of the person you've become. Lead your team well. Bring them home." She nodded, full of pride and determination. The mission took them to a planet with high mountains and glowing rivers. It was beautiful but risky. The land was unstable. Kara led with calm focus. When a rockslide trapped 2 crew members, she found a safe path and got them out. Her team returned to the Aurora safe and successful. The ship celebrated their return. Kara was now not just known, she was trusted. That night, she stood at the window in her room, thinking of everything that had happened. She had come from silence and shadows. Now, she stood in light. Sam entered the room and handed her a small gift, a star map of their journey so far. "Every star," he said, "marks a step you took. A step forward." Kara smiled. "Then let's keep stepping. Together." And so they did. Toward the stars. Toward whatever came next. Not as 2 lonely souls, but as one strong pair braver together than they ever were alone. The months passed quickly as the Aurora continued to travel through the stars. Kara's world had grown so much bigger. She was not the shy and lonely person she had been at the start of her journey. Now she was a leader and a friend. She was known and respected by everyone on the ship. The Aurora was sent to the edge of known space. There were rumors of a lost planet that held an ancient library full of the wisdom of many old civilizations. The crew was excited. Even the captain showed his rare smile. Kara was chosen to lead the exploration team. Sam was with her, of course, along with Lyra, Joro, and a new crew member named Ben. The planet was covered in thick forest and old stone. Buildings. They walked carefully, searching for signs of the library. It took them 2 days to find the entrance. Vines and moss covered the stone doors. Kara pushed gently, and the doors opened with a long, slow sound. Inside, the air was cool and still. The walls were lined with glowing crystals. Ancient books and memory tablets filled the shelves. Some were written in languages no one had seen before. The team moved slowly, recording everything. As Kara walked deeper into the library, she found a small room with a round table in the center. On the table was a single book, bound in blue cloth. She opened the book and saw words written in Old Earth English. It was a journal left by another human who had traveled to this place long ago. The journal told the story of a person who had felt lost, different, and alone among the stars. But it ended with hope and friendship. Just like Kara's story, Sam stepped into the room. He looked at Kara and the journal in her hands. "It feels like you were meant to find this," he said. "Maybe I was," she replied, her voice soft. They took the journal and returned to the others. The whole team worked together to copy the knowledge and record the strange symbols. The captain was proud when they brought everything back to the ship. When the Aurora returned to a nearby space station, a big celebration was held. Many ships and their crews came to hear about the lost library. Kara was asked to speak again. This time, she was not nervous at all. She spoke about the journey, the challenges, and what they had learned. She told the story of the old journal and how much it meant to her. We all feel alone sometimes, she said, but we are never truly alone if we reach out to others. People from many worlds clapped and cheered. Kara felt a deep happiness she had never known before. That night, back on the Aurora, the crew gathered for a quiet party. They shared food and stories. Sam sat beside Kara, smiling. The stars outside shone bright. Later, Kara walked through the ship, thinking about her journey. She stopped by the observation deck, where her adventure had begun. Sam joined her there. As always, "Do you remember when you first arrived?" Sam asked quietly. Kara nodded. "I thought I would never belong." "But you do," Sam said. "You always did. It just took time for everyone to see it." Kara looked out at the stars. "I learned something important. True beauty isn't about what others see first. It's about kindness and courage. It's about helping others and never giving up." Sam nodded. "And it's about being yourself." She smiled. "Yes, being yourself." They stood together in silence, watching the endless sky. Kara thought about the people she had helped, the friends she had made, and the new world she had seen. She knew there would always be new challenges, but she was ready for them. As the Aurora prepared to leave the station and continue its journey, the crew gathered to say goodbye to some visitors. The captain stood before everyone and spoke proudly about Kara and her team. "Because of them, we have new friends, new stories, and new hope," he said. "Let's keep learning. Let's keep exploring." Kara looked around at her friends, at Sam, at Lyra, at Joro, and all the others. She felt at home. Later that night, before sleep, Sam knocked on her door. He held out a small drawing, a sketch of the Aurora flying among the stars. "For you," he said, "a reminder of how far you've come." Kara took the drawing and smiled. She put it next to her old family photo. Now both belonged together, a reminder of where she started and how much she had grown. As she lay in bed, Kara felt peaceful. She was not just another face in the crowd. She was someone who had made a difference. She was someone who had learned to believe in herself. And in the quiet of the night, she knew that she would never let anyone or any world make her feel small again. The Aurora flew on, carrying Kara and her friends into new adventures, with hope shining as bright as the stars around them.